So I'd like to do another video about the tip. The tip is a very difficult and very important part of the reed. I think that there are a couple of things that are happening with the reed in the tip. And this is what I would call a rough scrape. I tied it a couple days ago and scraped it. So it is a rough scrape. But there is this long blend throughout the tip, as you can see. What we need to do is to measure where we want the tip to start and define it. I really think that there are a couple of things happening in the tip. First, you have to have this nice taper from the heart to the end, which creates your blend region. But then there also needs to be a definition in the reed. We don't have any definition. It's just kind of like an amorphous blend that tapers into the end. And that's not enough for the tip. The tip has to have a beginning, defined area. So what we're going to do is we're going to check what the rattle is like and how much crow it has, and then we're going to clip it till the crow's a C and then define the tip. So let's do that. It's not quite there, and we need to get it there. About a B. And sometimes I will squeeze the reed slightly because it helps to make it less rigid. All right, let me clip it again. So it's a little more than a C, and we'll play it, and it's not going to amount to much. So it's not bad, but it's very strident, and the tone is rather hollow, and it just sounds like a new reed that hasn't been refined. So what we're going to try to do is to give this tip some definition right in here, right in this area. Now the reason why you need a sharp knife is because we're removing very little. We're just trying to define this thing. We should probably measure it. We want the reed to be about 66 and where it begins, the tip, and that's pretty close. So let's do that right about here. Now you can see I'm removing very little, and the knife is grabbing and pulling the cane off, and that's the extent of it. Do not bear down when scraping the tip as best you can, because if you bear down, you're actually changing the shape of the reed, and when it springs back up again, it's not going to be how you want it to be. So you want to remove it very carefully. Now let's see if we can do this side a little better. My knife's at a slight angle, and I'm just removing. It's very little coming off, but it's just about defining this vibrating part right here in this blend area. So critical to the way the reed vibrates. And this is where most reed makers spend their time, is doing just exactly what I'm doing now. So it didn't bear down. Let's see what we have. Now, you can see that there's a bit more definition. It's better definition. It's not quite even. This side's a little more defined than this side. So I'm going to work a little bit more on this side to try to make it even and symmetrical. So let's do that. So let's see what we have now. Now we have more definition and more symmetry, and that's much better. Now we really don't know how much we're going to need until we play the reed, But let's turn it over and see what the other side looks like. And you can see there's none of that. There's no definition and there's no symmetry there. And we need to create that. We need to put that into the tip. So let's do that on this side now. Make sure your knife is as sharp as you can get it, because that's real important. Sometimes I just define this and then just lightly touch the end, and that's it. So let's see what we have now. I did one side. You can see that that's developing there, and there's nothing here. So let's put it in over here as well. Okay, so just lift that off very lightly. Barely touching anything. Because I think for the most part our tip is thin enough. I might have to make it a little thinner, but depends on how it plays after we clip it. Now remember, you can't do any of this until the reed crows a C. I don't want to go too far too soon, but to show you where we are. Now you can see the definition. There is a beginning to the tip. You see the blend area, right? We have definition, we have a blend area, and we have a tip. Now we just need to play it to refine it. Already it sounds better when it crows. So yeah, it needs more refinement, and we're going to keep doing what we were doing. The reed is crowing a C, so now we can still work on the tip some more, so let's do that. And I might be a little more aggressive now because I know what it needs. Just be careful not to bear down. I haven't really taken much out of the back, so I'm going to scrape the back a little bit more. Give it some tone, some depth. Okay, so that's a little more defined. Now, I don't even play it until it crows a C now, because you're kind of wasting your breath. Now that's really coming along. You can hear how the reed is conforming. It has a nice focus. Tone is much more robust. It's not thin, it's not tinny, and it's not strident. So we're going to keep doing this process, making sure the reed crows a C, and then going into the blend from the heart, removing material, and lightly scraping it off the end of the tip. And remember, when you get to this point, you don't have to do too much. A little goes a long way. What we can hear is that the reed has really drastically changed from when we first picked it up. And that's good. But what I'm encountering, and this is common with reeds, is when you get the reed to a certain length but it crows high. There's too much cane in the heart area, that there's just a little too much. So I'm going to take some material out of the heart very lightly. I still want some more refinement, so doing more of what we're doing. The tip, I don't want it to be any thinner. The tip is thin enough. It's just that this, right in this area, is what we're going after right here. We want this to be better. We want this to improve the sound of the reed and the way it plays. And I think that's a little better. Let's see what we got. You can see it's more defined. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes you really have to define it more to get that reed to not be so wild. It's a little flat, but that's okay. So that's a very nice playing reed now. It plays well, it's very stable, and a very nice sounding reed. The tip incorporates those two elements. Yeah, the element of this smooth blend, this smooth transition from the heart to the end, but it also has to have at the beginning this delineation right in here. And that's what makes the tip really play well and sound good, or the reed to sound good, is the combination of those two. And it's imperative in your reed making. And it's very difficult. Try to get your knife as sharp as you can. Be conscious of this blend area and be conscious of the beginning of the tip. And don't bear down on the tip, because you don't want to flatten the tip as you scrape on it. If you flatten the tip, let me show you, if you flatten this tip like so, as you scrape on it, you see what I mean? When that thing pops up, it's going to be very different. There's going to be too much cane removed from it. And that's how you're going to get those thin sounding reeds. So be conscious of that. This should help you a great deal. Let me know how it works out for you.